Having free DLC within Call of Duty allows the entire fan base of a game to enjoy all the content within the given game after one purchase and one purchase only. Especially with a game like Cold War Zombies or just Cold War in general, where the game was cross-platform, more people than ever before were able to enjoy the product at the same time with zero restriction. This is awesome, and this is exactly what we need. I'm not denying this. This means that I titled the video the way I did just to catch your eye. The title of the video was "Paying for DLC is a Good Thing." Now, it doesn't mean that I truly think that paid DLC is bad though. It just means that I think free DLC, when implemented correctly, is better, and that has not happened yet. Paid DLC has clearly worked out well in the past. BO3 through BO4 in years 2015 through 2019 displayed this best. Maybe we had 2 bad DLCs in total, and that's even arguable. We had tons of fantastic high quality maps released in both multiplayer and zombies. The best part about this paid DLC though is that it was contractually obligated. When you bought the passes, you knew exactly what you were getting. No half-ass crap like we saw with both the new Modern Warfare as Vanguard, and even for other reasons, partially Cold War, but that game was overall very solid and gets a pass from most of what I'm talking about here anyway. Anyways, you bought the pass knowing that you had to get what it said. 4 zombies maps, 16 multiplayer maps. Very, very simple. Quick mention, please watch the whole video as I have the perfect solution to the current DLC quote-unquote problem COD has right now. Like, it's actually so simple, and I don't think that they haven't thought of this. Like, I think everybody has probably thought of this by now, but please just listen, at least skip to the end for when I talk about it, because it actually makes sense. And if they just did this even during BO4's life cycle, people would have loved the game during the life cycle and not just now after the game. So please listen, I pray. Anyway, before we get into that, in the newer gen of COD so far, we have yet to reach even our old potential's high, or even the low of our old potential, it feels like. But no, okay, we've yet to reach even our old potential. By next year, with COD 2024, I do think that we will be blowing far past that, or I should say, with COD 2024, we'll probably be blowing far past that. But as of now, we're in a very bad period when it comes to both quality and quantity of DLC content. Both of them are lacking. Development is hard, don't get me wrong, and the devs really do a fantastic job with what they are allowed to do. However, because of the restrictions they seemingly had in the past 3 to 4 years, we saw way too many remakes / reimagines. And before you roll your eyes, I actually do love remakes, and I think that they are great, but only after a successful brand new slate of content for the year for a given COD. Black Ops 3 is the best COD of all time. It really is. I will always stand by that. And this is the reason. It had a vibrant and exciting multiplayer and zombies experience with tons of fun and cool maps and weapons. New maps, weapons, fun, cool, color, vibrant. Then, after completion of its standard cycle, did it introduce older weapons and maps, be it the older DLC weapons like the XMC, or the Chronicles maps, or the Back in Black maps, which those may have had a terrible way of obtaining them, but still, that was only post-launch. And this kind of thing is so perfect, it's not even funny. You get people to love a brand new game for what it is, and you keep it fresh and updated throughout the life cycle like BO3 did. It's just new. It's not the old, and it's just a new title, and people are playing old stuff pretty much over and over again. You're not rebranding anything. It's a new title. People fall in love with that new game for what it is, and then as a treat, you throw them some stuff from the older games, and they get even more excited. You get fresh and new weapons plus maps, and then you get some of your favorites from the past back into this new game that you love so dearly. Now they just focus on repackaging and retooling. There's no originality and no excitement at this point in time. Like I said, with COD 2024, really think that bar is moving way up. I think Treyarch has something insane in store, but as of now, that's the case. Guns are pretty much all practically the same year to year as well, and barely any new maps are released. Like I said, if there are maps released, they're mostly remakes, and any of the new ones usually kind of suck. Like, it's insane. And also, side note, if we see the PPSH or MP40 again within the next 3 years, I'm gonna put holes in my wall. We all love those weapons, but now it's so damn common, it's annoying. And even if it's not exactly the PPSH or MP40, it's almost like the same exact gun, but they changed the shell. I don't know what they're doing. It feels minimal effort. And again, I'm not throwing this on the developers at all. I'm just saying, considering the circumstances, they're doing the best they could. It seems that way. But the trajectory that's going on here, I can't understand anything behind it. And I love COD, by the way. I just want to say that I play COD every year. I buy COD every year. MW2 was the first COD I didn't buy, and I'm grateful for it. I really am. I did not think that COD deserved support, but that has other things to do with it. Anyways, let's move back into the topic of the video. If we see those guns again, I'm gonna go nuts. Just give us new guns. It's so annoying. going. A good example of this is Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. Those games had brand new weapons that were just exciting. Even if they weren't this, the fan favorites, they were still something new. It was fresh. It lasted the whole season. And then you can bring in your VMP and your CUDA or whatever. They brought the VMP in Black Ops 4 and the Locust. They brought it during the life cycle in the Argus, but still, they just did that because of the release cycle of the game, which I'm going to have a video about BO4 too, how they messed that up, where if they released stuff correctly and kind of equally throughout the game, stuff would have been better off and people would have enjoyed the game more because of just constant dopamine hits. But again, I digress. I'm sorry for keep going off on a tangent. During BO3 and during BO4, we had a fantastic pool of brand new weapons. Yes, they did introduce in BO4 older weapons before the game ended, but still, we had new weapons at least to start off. Anyways, barely any maps at all are released post-launch in these newer CODs, and it's just sad and insane, as I said, and if they do, they're usually lackluster or remakes. Just so sad. This is the main reason why people want a pass back. COD is releasing games with barely any content on launch and adding barely anything post-launch. Operators seem to be the only focus, not new experiences to improve the game. Screw it. People already bought the game. We might as well only focus on what else they can buy now. Since DLC is free, there's only one way we can get money from them: operators. Now, I'm not sure if that's exactly their mentality, but that seems to be the mentality, contrary to let's make an amazing launch game and provide an amazing post-launch cycle like Black Ops 3 that will excite and invigorate the community not only during the cycle, but for years after, wanting them to invest money into the stuff in the game. Like in this case, in the newer games, it would be operators, but in the past, it was weapons. And even now, it is weapon skins. At this point in time, it just feels like the current games, especially, there's no debate here at all. Modern Warfare 2 is solely a cash grab, and other recent CODs have not fell far off either. But MW2 is the prime example of it. Moving forward, that brings us to our next point. We're almost done here. We're almost at the point where I'm giving you the solution. In a game like BO3, we got 4 brand new multiplayer maps and 1 new zombies map every single DLC release. This means that on top of the plentiful launch maps we received, 16 additional brand new multiplayer experiences were released and 4 brand new zombies maps within the main game lifecycle within 1 year after the game launched. We received 16 MP maps, 4 brand new zombies maps. Like, are you joking? And this was 6+ years ago. Now we have to fight to get more than 8 MP launch maps on disc and to get more than 2 MP maps per season. It is just horrid. And the maps that release now, as I said multiple times, are either remakes, which are okay in certain cases or every once in a while, or they're new maps that are just miserable. But there's barely any maps, so that doesn't really give them a chance. They really don't have a chance here, is my point. It's a sad situation. What's my point with all this? Why am I blowing off BO3 and trashing the newer game? Well, like I said, I love COD, but quite frankly, because it's deserved. All of this stuff is deserved. I'm not hating. I'm somebody who wants it to get better. And I see a lot of people complaining about the games not being like the older games. Well, take a look at Black Ops 3 and compare it to the newer games, or even World War II and compare it to the newer games. There's no comparison. The older games had significantly more and higher quality content. They reduced quality and quantity. What do you want us to do? Anyways, if you listen to what I said and aren't mentally incapable of forming your own conclusions instead of saying that developers have a hard life, which they do, and I'm not at all blaming them for it. I said it multiple times. I'm just saying that a lot of people use this excuse as a scapegoat. I hear it every day on Twitter. Well, I see it every day on Twitter, but you'd be able to come off with the same conclusion I have if you just read the room. Call of Duties with paid DLC were significantly better in the past in terms of releasing fresh, high-quality experiences than they are now with free DLC. Does that mean that we need paid DLC back? No. Cold War gave the best run out of all the free DLC games, though, I will say, but the system they had in that game still isn't perfect. I'd rather pay $100 for the game now and be guaranteed a set amount of content if that was the case, right? But that isn't the answer I'm going to be giving you guys, but that even is an option itself. They aren't going to do it, but that's an option. But yeah, again, I just like to 100% say that I am not at all blaming developers. I know that it's a very hard job. I am just solely reading the room, and I'm mostly 98% blaming Activision for the way they are setting stuff up. I also understand that gaming is constantly changing and that it's a hard time and that we can't entirely blame them. Well, you could blame them, but you can't really blame them because they're just trying new things. However, right now, it just seems like that they've stopped trying and they're just cash grabbing with MW2. And I'm tired of seeing people on Twitter like really hating on people that are saying paid DLC is better. Because although technically it's not true, having the DLC be free is definitely better because everyone gets to play it. You can't forget the quality and quantity of paid DLC that we had. It has been unmatched to this point in time. That is a fact. But moving forward, this is pretty much the solution. Now that we have identified the problem here, that paid DLC CODs were much better and content rich at least, what's the solution? And by content rich, I don't mean, again, plentiful, just mean plentiful, I mean quality wise. Now, there's many ways ways, obviously, that this can be answered. What's the solution to improving COD? But here's the simplest. Combine the old system with the new while keeping everything free. Now, what does this mean? This system is awesome, and it allows everybody who buys the game to enjoy all of the content within the game at all times on all platforms, just like Cold War, because it just makes sense. It's just goated that way. Everyone gets access. No one's separated from any pieces of content. The only thing that's separated is the operators, which you pay for if you want to, and that's whatever. I'd say the best way to implement the combination of the old and the new is like this. Launch the game with 8 through 10 multiplayer maps and 2 zombies maps. Keep seasons and reloaded updates as well. You don't need to go to 4 traditional updates. Keep those seasons and keep the mid-season updates as well, but have only 5 seasons. Release 2 multiplayer maps at the beginning of each season and 2 multiplayer maps at the reloaded / the midway point of each season. Release 1 zombies map every 1.5 seasons, so that means a map at the beginning of season 1 and then at season 2.5 and then at 4 and then at 5.5. In between zombies map releases is when you can release new game modes for zombies, consumables, and or field upgrades, whatever side stuff that the game may accompany. That's what you go ahead and update during that period of time. Now, post-launch, this comes out to 20 DLC MP maps and of course 4 extra DLC zombies maps, a total of around 28 MP maps and 6 zombies maps total for the game. Does that not sound fantastic? And it's a much easier and widely spread out release slate. So it's easier on the developers, so they don't have to go as crazy. I mean, they're still going to be working very hard because it's more content, but it's just like the older days in that we have a more structured release schedule. We know exactly what we're getting. It's kind of not contractually obligated, but it's pretty much stated right when the game comes out. We know exactly what we're getting, about how much of each of what we're getting on launch. We know the full deal. This way, when we buy the game, we're not guessing how many zombies maps there's going to be. We're not guessing how many multiplayer maps there's going to be. We're not guessing how many seasons there's going to be. We're not guessing this. We're not guessing that. Sure, surprises are great, but the only surprises we've gotten lately are bad ones. There have been no good surprises. But yeah, continuing with my little script here that I've been mostly sticking to, the most important thing is that this would be laid out before the game released. They have to deliver on these promises in order for them to not get in trouble, for the most part, obviously, right? Just like the older season pass. When you bought that, they must deliver on the season pass. You must get what the pass says, otherwise you can pretty much refund it, right? You're not getting what was promised. And what this means is that they can continue to sell bundles for money out of the shop and retain free DLC for the entire game. Through all 5 seasons of the game, players get tons of brand new experiences to play in all the modes, multiplayer and zombies, and by the end of the game lifecycle, players have been delivered with a consistent stream of fresh, brand new, high quality experiences and are finally happy with the content they received. What this also means is that the development period is much easier for the developers, and I just touched on this, but this means they have to only worry about 8 launch maps, which is not a lot. We've had some games, I think, with 12 to 14 launch maps. You only have to worry about 8 launch maps on disc for MP and 2 DLC maps every half season. They could potentially be done with all of the DLCs on launch. Well, sorry, with most of the DLCs on launch, because you'd be getting 2 DLC maps every half season. There's 5 seasons. That means there's 10 half seasons. 2 maps every half season is 20 maps. But they can finish like 15 maps probably by launch is my point. 15 out of the 28 is pretty damn solid. And again, it would be 1 zombies map every 1.5 season. Again, although quantity is definitely important and the main reason why I'm making this video, this plan I laid out allows for a plethora of content of the highest quality. It gives breathing room and maneuverability to the developers and keeps people engaged constantly because of major updates every 0.5 seasons. Meaning, if they really can't release a two brand new MP maps for some reason with the first DLC release, then they don't. But you would still be able to expect somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 plus multiplayer maps by the end of the game's life cycle that's free for everybody to use and play. And don't forget, this kind of like release slate that I gave you guys is of course excluding DLC weapons and other smaller scale stuff like special bundles and events and stuff like that. So we have all of that other stuff on top of the half season releases to actually fill in content, keep stuff exciting and fresh. It's a very simple thing that can be done and should have been done, and it of course requires more content to be released, but this has already been done in the past. So to have this kind of on a free to play model now would absolutely shatter records. standards. All in all, this solution is extremely palpable. It really is, and should be the gold standard for Call of Duty. Not only should happen once, it should be the gold standard. It should be the bar. Again, it combines the best of both worlds, delivering consistent releases and updates via seasons, which is brand new, right? Allows for bundles to continue to sell in the shop, which is also pretty much brand new. It guarantees players exactly what they should expect through the game's life cycle, which is something that we saw in the older CODs, and it pretty much reinvigorates COD because it gives people a sense of understanding of what's going on and the game, and we always know that there's going to be something coming around the corner. And if they want to surprise us with something then on top of the main cycle, they can do it. But just imagine if they went Men in Black for a second on us with Black Ops 3 and wiped our memory of the game, and they re-released it using the system I just laid out. I honestly think it would be one of the most popular games of all time. Crossplay, all DLC maps are free, all maps released on all platforms at the same time, Easter egg hunts up to that capacity, lots of color. You got the exosuits and multiplayer. This is one of my biggest gripes with BO4 again. The game would have been perceived significantly better if it was released with this kind of launch cycle that I talked about just now in this video, and it just was horrible. It wasn't like BO3, and it wasn't even like we have now. It was operations, and they were months apart, and they really dropped the ball on the release schedule there. But again, I have another video coming up about BO4 in the future. But yeah, imagine BO3 released the way I laid out this DLC cycle right now. And it was really, I mean, that's pretty much how BO3 did release for the most part, except for it was paid, which was the biggest problem, and it wasn't crossplay. So just imagine in Call of Duty 2024, we have a new zombies map every 1.5 seasons, 2 brand new fresh multiplayer maps every half a season, new weapons coming into the game. It's a Treyarch COD, lots of color. Dude, this has the chance to be one of the biggest things we've ever seen in gaming. People keep saying COD is dead, but if COD was legitimately to produce a game to this caliber and release the content consistently like this, it would be something special. That is all I have to say for this video. I wanted to address this topic because I've been watching to for a while, and I'm tired of seeing people argue about it on Twitter because it's really a stupid discussion. At the end of the day, paid DLC has done nothing but provided higher quality content for us players. However, again, it does not mean that we should be paying for DLC in Call of Duty anymore. Do I want everything free in this world like some blue-haired people do? No, I don't. But I think in terms of gaming, this is the best possible option, and considering what we have now and considering what we've had in the past, if we combine the best of both worlds, oh boy, do I think that if we got free to play the way I said, free DLC the way I said, oh boy, do I think it would be something special. All right, I'm done talking here. Take care of your meatballs. Peace out.